August 5, 1962. Just after midnight, a light is still on in a small bedroom in Brentwood, Los Angeles. By morning, the most famous woman in the world will be dead. The official story took less than a day to write. It has taken over 60 years to stop questioning. This is the last night of Marilyn Monroe. What we know, what was destroyed, and what still, to this day, doesn't add up. Chapter 1. The woman behind the name. Before she was Marilyn Monroe, she was Norma Jean Mortensen, a child who moved through foster homes and an orphanage in Los Angeles, who rarely knew stability, who built, almost entirely by herself, one of the most powerful public identities the 20th century had ever seen. By the early 1960s, she wasn't just an actress, she was the single most photographed woman alive. Gentlemen prefer blondes. Some like it hot. A voice, a walk, a presence that studios built entire films around. But behind the persona was a woman in genuine turmoil, a difficult childhood, a documented history of depression, 2 failed marriages, and a film career that was, by the summer of 1962, publicly falling apart. She had just been fired from a production. Her studio was reportedly done with her. The woman the world saw, and the woman living inside that house in Brentwood, were, by nearly every account, not the same person. Chapter 2. The Final Day. August 4th, 1962. Her housekeeper, Eunice Murray, is staying overnight. Unusual, but not unheard of. During the day, Marilyn receives visitors. Her psychiatrist, Dr. Ralph Greenson, comes by in the afternoon, their 4th session that week alone, an extraordinary frequency for any patient. Her physician, Dr. Hyman Engelberg, visits separately and administers an injection. Its contents were never fully documented in any surviving record. Peter Lawford, actor and brother-in-law to the Kennedy family, later claimed he spoke to her by phone that evening. His account of what she said, and how she sounded, would become one of the most disputed details in the entire case. By most timelines, sometime around midnight, Eunice Murray noticed a light under Marilyn's bedroom door. The door was locked. She could not get an answer. What happened in the hours between that locked door and sunrise is where the official record and the surviving witnesses stop agreeing with each other. Chapter 3. The Discovery. Dr. Greenson was called back to the house. Accounts differ on exactly when. He broke a window to get inside. Marilyn Monroe was found in her bed, unresponsive. She was pronounced dead in the early hours of August 5, 1962. She was 36 years old. The official cause was ruled an overdose, categorized as a probable suicide. I won't detail the specifics of how, both because they're not the point of this story, and because that's simply not something responsible coverage of a death should dwell on. What is worth dwelling on is the timeline itself. Police were not notified for several hours after she was found. In that window, phone calls were reportedly made, not to authorities first, but to other people. To this day, no fully reconciled account exists of exactly who was called, in what order, or why. Chapter 4. What went missing. Here is where the case stops being simply tragic and starts being genuinely strange. Marilyn Monroe kept a red diary, described by people close to her as containing personal notes, including entries about conversations with high-profile figures in government. After her death, that diary was never recovered. To this day, no one has produced it, confirmed its destruction, or explained what happened to it. Her phone records from her final days, the calls she made and received, were later reported as missing from phone company archives. Missing phone records, on their own, could be explained by nothing more than incomplete record-keeping in 1962. But combined with everything else that vanished around her final hours, it becomes one more gap in a timeline that has never been fully closed. And the toxicology process itself has drawn scrutiny for decades. Samples that were reportedly not properly preserved, an evidence chain that even some officials involved in reviewing the case later admitted fell short of what a death of this magnitude should have received. None of this proves anything happened beyond what was officially concluded, but it means the official record was never as airtight as it was presented to the public. Chapter 5. The Kennedys. This is the part of the story most people already think they know. So let's be precise about what's actually documented versus what's rumor that's calcified into fact through repetition. It is documented, through multiple independent sources, that Marilyn Monroe had some level of personal relationship with both President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, in the period before her death. The nature and extent of those relationships has never been fully, publicly confirmed by any official source, and both men are deceased and unable to speak to it themselves. Peter Lawford's account placed Robert Kennedy in Los Angeles around the time of her death, a claim that has been disputed, partially corroborated, and never definitively settled for over 60 years. What follows from that is where the story splits into theory. Some researchers believe her death is connected, directly or indirectly, to that relationship and to information she may have held. Others believe the timeline simply doesn't support it, and that the Kennedy connection has become a magnet for speculation, precisely because it's the most dramatic possible explanation for an otherwise devastating, ordinary tragedy. Chapter 6. The Other Explanation. It would be easy to end the story on conspiracy, but the responsible version of this story has to sit, seriously, with the far more painful possibility that this was exactly what it was officially ruled to be. Marilyn Monroe had a well-documented history of depression, and by mid-1962 was, by nearly every account from people close to her, in genuine crisis, professionally, personally, and emotionally. The missing diary could simply be lost, not stolen. The phone records could be a 1962 filing failure, not a cover-up. The delayed call to police could be panic and poor judgment from people who didn't know what else to do, not orchestration. Grief and fame have a way of turning an ordinary, devastating loss into a story that feels too small to hold the size of the person who died. Sometimes the truth is simply tragic, without being sinister. Chapter 7. What's never been reopened. In the decades since, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office has reviewed the case more than once, most notably in the 1980s. None of those reviews concluded there was sufficient evidence to reopen it as a homicide investigation. But none of them fully resolved the missing diary, the phone records, or the inconsistencies in that night's timeline either. That's the uncomfortable place this case has sat in for over 60 years. Not officially disputed, but never fully explained. Chapter 8. The Woman the Story Forgets. It's easy, after 60 years of documentaries and theories, to talk about Marilyn Monroe's death as a puzzle to be solved rather than a woman who died in genuine pain. Whatever combination of truth and rumor this case actually holds, she was, before any of it, a person. One who built an entire identity out of almost nothing, who gave one of the most recognizable faces in modern history to a world that, by her final year, had largely stopped being kind to her. 63 years later, the diary has never surfaced. The full phone records have never been produced, and the exact sequence of that final night has never been fully agreed upon by anyone who was in that house. Maybe it really was exactly what was written on the report. Maybe it wasn't. What's certain is that the world moved on from asking the question a long time before the question was ever actually answered.